Tabernacle family. We are so glad to be with you guys tonight. I have been enjoying Tab TV each evening. Just getting a chance to see and hear from you guys has been great, and the words that God has been giving you have been very encouraging and probably more impactful than you could ever imagine. And so tonight, I get to be here with my mom, Pastor Dawn Catalanotto. We're going to talk a little bit about the impact that our moms has had on our life. This week is going to be a tribute to moms with the upcoming Mother's Day this Sunday. And so we're going to just share a little bit about how our moms have impacted our life. And Mom, you have shared often how there was two women in your life that greatly impacted your life. And it was both of my grandmothers. So your mom and Dad's mom, your mother-in-law. Tell us a little bit about how each one of them impacted your life.
Well, naturally, I have to start from the beginning. It's with my mother. I had a wonderful mother. She was very loving, very caring. She was just really a wonderful woman, and she would, she really poured her life into her family, that we were her life, And then on the other hand, I know that y'all know that I married young, and so after Brother Carl and I were married, we lived for many years with his family, and so I had the importation from his mother, which was a very, it was a wonderful blessing to me. And maybe a little bit later on in this, we'll explain more.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about Mama Rita and what she would do.
Mama Rita she was so sweet, and she was so loving, and I think my favorite memory of her was on a laundry day. My mother, the old timers, they had a day for cooking, they had a day for washing, and a day for ironing. Well, on the day that she ironed, she always used that as a time to teach me and to speak to me from her heart. It was her and I can just see her at that ironing board, ironing those clothes. And she'd be telling me about when I got married, when I grew up, and how to love my husband and my family. She just poured into me as a young girl. And I remember telling her, Mama, why are you telling me all that? I don't want to hear all that right now, And it just was like the conversation that we had during ironing day, and how, as I'm an adult, I glean back on all that she told me. It was like treasure. She was giving me gold, and I didn't know it, But I did have a wonderful mother, a wonderful mother-in-law.
Yeah. Now, your environment growing up, you've always mentioned how your mom and dad were just private people. They were hardworking. They came home. They didn't have a lot of company. It was just their family. It was just your nucleus every day, and it was quiet. But it was quite different when you married Dad and moved in with his family. Tell us about that.
Well, like Mia was saying, my family, it was us four and no more. We didn't have family visiting. We had nothing. We were regimented, and it was I led a very quiet life. And my husband's family, if any of you have seen the big fat Greek wedding, well, he was the big Italian family. Mm-hmm. And they had so many people in the house. They had family members. Another sister-in-law lived there. It was a big house. And we all lived together. My mother-in-law cooked like my mother's pots were pots. My mother-in-law's pots were pots. Big pots, of meatballs and gravy and fried chicken, and and who was there ate, and they were open to others. Their house was it was like Grand Central Station, and it was a totally different lifestyle than what I was used to. My home was very quiet, just quiet, early to bed, early to rise. His family was just totally different. And it was maddening, but yet wonderful. And I realized as my years went on, had that not happened, I would not have be the person that I am today and do the things that I do now, But she was wonderful to me and never treated me any different than her own. There was no difference. It was like she took one more under her wings. She loved me. She loved my children. I mean, it was a wonderful time in my life. It was different, and I learned so much from it. Mm-hmm. But it was different, way different,
As you share that, it's just, looking back on it is so clear. You don't see things when you're in the midst of things, but when you look back on it, it's become so clear how God was preparing you for what was going to lie ahead. Your life of ministry with you and Dad, and how that gifting of hospitality was planted in you, because we would have Bible studies and parties and all of that at our house as you would minister to people. And had you not had that exposure and that training, you would have not been prepared for the life God had for you.
No, I would not have been. It was like I needed that training. I needed that training. We didn't have, when I tell you, when I was young, we had, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. We didn't have people in and out. We didn't have family members coming over or Sunday dinners with a cousin or a aunt. No, it was just us. And his family was so different.
Complete opposite.
It was complete opposite. And at first it was overwhelming and maddening, and I had to adjust to the difference. I mean, and it really, I can't even tell you what went on inside of me, But God had a plan.
Yeah.
God knows. It just like you said, if it wouldn't have happened. I don't think I would be. There wouldn't be no way I would be, the way I am today if it had not been for that training.
Right. And that speaks a lot to us as we go through things, just to remember to trust God, that He's doing something in our life for a reason.
Yes.
And He's very mindful of us.
Yes.
And it was really His loving kindness towards you that
Yes.
said, I think I need your life to unfold like this because you need it for what's coming.
Oh, I needed it. I needed it.
And so it in that respect, we just, can just trust God in whatever we're going through. And I guess really even in this COVID craziness, that God is doing something in us as well. And we won't come out of this the same way. Well, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to just share about your impact on my life. And I know without a doubt that I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without you. You have been a very stabling factor in my life. You brought a lot of stability, no matter what I was going through emotionally or if I was in a trial. You've always brought us back to what God's word says and how we have to trust God's word in all things. And I don't think without that voice in my ear, I think I would have been led by emotions a lot, and I would have made other choices, because emotions are very real when you're going through something.
Yes.
And you just think that this is just what you have to do. But when you compare those emotions to what God's word says, if it's not the same, then you can't trust those emotions. You have to trust God's word. And so, not that I had any sense at all, but somehow God gave me enough sense to listen to you and to know that what you were telling me was the truth. And even though I couldn't see it at the time and didn't understand it, but I followed that and I obeyed God's word. And thank God I did, because I could have just derailed my life many times, So another thing that has been probably the defining thing as far as your impact in my life was your words of affirmation. And you are a person that is not negative. You don't speak negative on other people. sometimes you might think of the worst. I know you said that sometimes your mind tends to want to think of the worst outcome, but as far as people, you always speak encouraging things and you never speak negativity. I don't think I've ever heard you speak a negative word about someone. And especially in regards to us kids and me personally, you always would tell me what I could be and what you saw in me. And there was no limits on who I could be or what I could do. And that's incredible because, you know, your children will end up and they will grow up to be exactly who you say they are. And so if you say that they're a mighty woman of God, mighty man of God, that they could run corporations or whatever it is that they're aspiring to do, if you tell them they can do it, they will reach for it. But if you, on the flip side, if you speak negativity over them and you constantly are putting those limits on them,
Right.
then that is the highest that they will go.
Yeah.
And so I know that has been probably the greatest impact, other than your godly influence, but on my life was just that affirmation and encouragement verbally. And so I definitely try to implement that, not only with my kids, but in general. Like, I want people, when they leave my presence, to feel uplifted and encouraged, because there is enough negativity in the world. You know, they don't need another person telling them what they aren't, but to have somebody tell them who they are. And I know in particular, I had an instance with my daughter where I had an opportunity to do the same thing for her. So she, at one point in her life, was not walking with God, and she was making some really poor choices in her life, ones that as a parent make you cringe. But I remember God giving me the opportunity to speak into her life and to tell her who God said she is. And so it was like what you imparted to me, and I was able to do the same and impart to her. And having that opportunity to tell her who God said she is. And now, years later, she is serving God, and she is every bit of what God said she was. And then actually, even seeing it one step further, she does this very same thing with people she meets. She speaks what God's word says over them as well. So you can see the progression, that if you're just implanting the seed, that it gets perpetuated throughout your generations. God's word is true in that regard.
You know, that you're saying that, I was thinking when I was trying to put my thoughts together for this thing, it's like I feel myself. You talk about the things that went through your life, but it was like I saw two rivers, and that's what God had flowing through me. Two rivers. I had a river from my mother, and I had a river, and they were both taking me to a destination.
Right.
But that river flows through you.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's flowing through
Dana.
You know, so it's the same river that's going through us all, you know. And I'm talking about family line,
Yes.
you know. But this morning I saw it for the first time in that way. It's a river that flowed. And it was good stuff.
It's good
Good
stuff.
stuff, you know. And you think it might, that it was for me, but no, it's for my children, because I have to give what was given to me. Dana's going to let it flow to her.
Yes, she will,
You know.
no doubt. No doubt. That's
Tell you
amazing.
what, serving God is an awesome thing.
You know, and the value and the impartation right there of a mother, and how important, and believe me, the role of a father is unquestionably important. I mean, that goes without saying, the affirmation and the role of a father. And we're seeing the negative impact of having a fatherless society. We're
Yes.
seeing that. But equally as detrimental is the absence of a mother, or, you know, a negative role model in that place. And how the value of motherhood and the value of being a mother and passing on that river to our children, to see that under such attack, like with this, all the abortion, you know, talks and stuff, and how Of course, abortion is not only devaluing the human life that's there, we know that, but it's also devaluing the role of a mother.
Of a mother. That's right.
And instead of it being celebrated, that you have the opportunity to impact this person's life and be a conduit, like in helping them be all that they could be, right? Instead, it's devalued and it's unnecessary, and that they are bringing it like it's a burden and not what a tremendous blessing and opportunity. So it's an attack on human life, but it is also an attack on the role of a mother and how valuable the role of a mother is.
Well, I think when I think about my mother, and I know I've told my children that, and I hope I'm not repeating myself with this, but my mother lost her mother when she was just think 14 or 15 months old. Did I mention this earlier? Because I had in my mind to mention it. And I remember her telling me all the time that she had, they had relatives that lived very close, where you see a child who lost their mother, that is has nobody to cuddle her like a mother. Mm-hmm. And she said they never did even come and pick me up. They never did hold me or hug me, And when I heard her say that, I said, Mom, I'm so sorry, And then her stepmother, they never gave her any affection. And how much that means to a child. Mm-hmm. And just like affirmation and affirming who they are and holding them and loving them and,
And it's amazing because Mama Rita, one of the attributes that you would say right away when you met her, she was so kind and so sweet.
And loving.
And so it was like what she did not have, she just gave out.
Yes.
And she was all of that and so much more.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But yes, the affirmation of a mother and telling their kids what they can be and hugging them and being there for them is so important.
Yes.
It's all very important parts of being a mother.
Yes. This is good.
This was good.
The little reminiscing brings back emotion. But
yes, it was good. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed our tribute to motherhood, and we certainly look forward to all the rest of the ones that are going to come this week. We certainly love all of you guys in Chalmette. We cannot wait to see you and to hug you again very soon. I know that we talked about a big Italian family, but that definitely mimics a church family, and you guys are our family.
That's right.
Even though we don't see each other all the time. And so we can't wait to the next time that we are able to see you.
God bless you.
God bless you.